Back on the coaching corner, I'm RJ Adams. You are you, of course. Every Monday through Friday, and I'm sure you get this too, you get backstage.com, and they have some interesting articles in there. To be honest with you, I think the Backstage blog is more interesting than some of the articles that I read in the regular backstage.com. There seems to be a lot of actors on there who know more about the industry than some of the so-called professionals. But if you lined up 50 agents or casting directors or acting coaches and asked them one specific question, you'd get 50 different answers. It's almost always the way it is. And almost everyone is an expert on everything. One of the articles that I read last week was it was last Monday, was by Brian O'Neill. And he said 4 questions that you never want to ask an agent on an interview. And I thought, what is this? And the first one was, who are the clients you represent? Well, why would you have to ask that? If you have IMDb Pro, go there and look at who the agency represents. You get the whole client list. Another one was, what casting directors do you have relationships with, or have a relationship with, I think it's better put. Why would you have to know that? If anything, you give your agent in the interview, the person you're interviewing with, a list of the agents that are casting directors that you know. So you give them a list of casting people. I know these people. They brought me in, cast me in things. Another one is, who in the agency would be a conflict with me? What do you care? And it's really kind of a dumb thing anyway, 4 questions you never want to ask an agent. The best thing you do when you go for an interview with an agent is be on your toes, moment to moment. That's the way life is. Know your background, know your resume, know you, and go in and relax and have a normal conversation. As questions come up, you're going to be able to answer them. Now, I know actors in my workshop and online will email me and say, I always get nervous in an audition or when I meet with an agent. Why is that? Well, there are probably 2 primary reasons you get nervous. One of them is you're not really comfortable with who you are in regard to your work as an actor. Maybe you're very young. You don't have that kind of experience yet because it takes years to really get comfortable to where you are in interviews and auditions and on the set. The other thing is fear of the unknown. You're in an interview with somebody you don't know that you met for the first time. Yeah, it's not exactly the easiest situation to be in, but if you know yourself and you know your resume and it's conversational, it actually is very easy. They'd rather be dealing with someone who's down to earth and a real person than someone who's pretentious, who's doing an interview like they're an actor and they're set up and they're trying to be witty and they're trying to... That's not a smart thing to do. Be yourself. If you are witty as a person, whatever it is that you are, so be it. But the best advice I always give actors is just to relax, play the moments, be there in the conversation with the agent or the casting director, do the reading, be relaxed. And while we're talking about readings and auditions, you'll get directions sometimes from the casting director. Do it this way, do it that way. That's tough to do because you go in with your idea, your choice of what you're going to do. And I've always been a believer that you live and die with the choices you make in an audition. But if the casting director says, well, that was fine, RJ, but let's try it again and do it this way. I'm always a little leery of that because then you start to chase their idea, their perception of what it is you should do within the work. And you want to know something, guys? That's really an impossible thing to do. Chase somebody else's head. And sometimes the direction is as simple as do it again, but educate me. That's good advice because maybe you're an airline pilot and you're explaining to students at a flight school how you fly in bad weather conditions. So the dialogue would be presented in terms of educating. Now, the one thing I want to explain to you about flying in bad conditions or zero visibility is that you have to stick with I'm educating you. A lot of actors will, if they're inexperienced, deliver that like regular dialogue where they'll do, if you're flying in those kind of conditions, you really have to watch So that was good advice. Educate me. So that kind of input is fine. It's when they start telling you how to do the lines that can be a real problem. But if you're going out for an audition, always be yourself. Trust who you are. Don't be in fear of the unknown. Basically, all auditions are the same. You're going to have a casting director, you're going to have the camera, you're going to have sometimes a reader there, and you got you. And it's probably the same way every time. You do the reading, you do what it is that you do, and you take that home with you. Friend of mine on Facebook shot me a message that he was going to auditions, and then after they were through, they'd email him and say, for $39.95 or whatever it is, you can have a copy of the audition you just did. And I asked him, why would you spend the money on that? You don't want to know of something that you've already done. What good is it? You have to learn from that experience and move on to the next thing, because you have to concentrate on where you're going, not where you've been. So that really isn't going to be a big help. You want that? Get it out of a workshop. One of the things we do here at the Actors Workshop, we're on camera twice a week, every week, all the time. And one of those days is spent on the audition process on camera, like you would do with a casting director in that situation. And the other day, it's like you're on the set doing a scene. You have your partner, you have two cameras, so that you get the best of what you're doing all the time as an actor in television and film. You're going on the audition, and then you're going on the set, and you're doing the audition. And always remember that auditions are almost never, ever like the situation's going to be on the set. You don't have the surroundings. I'm a big believer that in an audition process, it should be as simple as, well, let me watch one of your clips and I can see what you do as an actor. Because that process in itself, the audition process, is kind of detrimental and plays against the actor. It really does. Because it's not going to be anything like what you do on the set once you get there. That is true. I found that in my experiences over the last 35, 40 years, every time, especially in episodic television, it's never going to be that way. So it's a hard process for actors. Most actors don't like the auditioning process at all because they're always trying to do something or not, and it doesn't equate to what you're going to do on a set. So let's just recap real quick. Interviews with agents. Be on your toes, be sharp, know your resume, be comfortable with who you are, relax, and have fun with it, and see where the conversation goes. They may not ask you things. You can't have a pre-planned idea of what it is they're going to ask you or what you should say or don't say. Just know your resume. It'll come off fine, spontaneously, which is the best way it's going to look. And same in auditions. You go on a reading, trust the process. Always trust yourself. The best advice I can give you. You do that because that's who you're selling. And you're going to be fine. You're going to do well in this business. The best thing you've got is you.